All right. So hi everybody, and welcome to the Add-ons community meeting of August 2018. It's a little crazy that it's August already. I just wanted to open the meeting today with giving a shout out to a couple of friends of Add-ons. I wanted to say that Vishwa, who is one of our community members in India. He's a tech speaker and has helped run a couple of Activate events. He was really helpful in unblocking an issue, a very weird issue that we had, where we were having problems delivering a prize to one of the Quantum Extensions Challenge runner-ups, and Visual helped us unblock it, and it was a huge favor to us, and I'm really grateful. So I just wanted to like publicly acknowledge Visual for going really above and beyond to help us out. It was really awesome. Um, so thank you, Vishwa. I also wanted to call out that Christoph found a hidden and interesting piece of UI for the search API that's gonna land. I'll throw completely forgot to link to it, but it was kind of cool. So Mike Capley is going to work on integrating it. So that was kind of neat and fun. And then I also just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who contributed to AMO in Q2. We had a lot of really great code contributions that helped keep the site going. And of course, we're very grateful to our add-on reviewers for helping make sure that the product and our policies and is safe and a good experience for our users. So definitely thank you to everyone who contributed that way. So I did want to, so we have a couple of updates from this week. First, I am very excited to say that the process of reopening volunteer add-on reviewers, reopening the onboarding for that is not quite underway yet, but we're almost ready to do that. And the assessment piece, which is the standardization to make sure that folks have the skill set and understand the guidelines in order to be successful extension reviewers, is complete. And so there is a version of this in beta. I will let Andreas say a few words about this since this is his project.
There's not much more to say about this. So we finally got some time to work on the assessment process, and yeah, as you said, it's now in beta testing with a couple of reviewers that are already in the team, and also a few folks outside of the reviewer team. So we get a diverse set of results for beta testing, and then I'll hope we can go live with it. My favorite term, soon. No, really soon. So I would hope sometime this month.
And Andreas, has anybody completed the beta assessment?
Yes, we got the first few results already. One of them, Sylvain. Thanks again for doing that. It's really great, super helpful feedback. And yeah, so first results are already there. We're waiting on a couple of more results. But also most of the invitations only got out yesterday. So we should give people a little bit of time to respond.
Okay. I'm gonna. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while to get there. Especially since our reviewers have had a couple of pretty interesting weeks with some extensions that aren't so great for users. So just to give folks kind of an idea, when we have projects that are like the onboarding new volunteer reviewers, those tend to get bumped down in priority if something comes up that affects that affects our user base, and that can sometimes take a lot of time and energy to unwind and unravel. So stuff like some of the longer ongoing projects kind of get bumped down a little bit. We've had a couple of interesting weeks with some extensions who have been sold to companies that want to convert them into tracking. So there's been a lot of so our attention has been on that recently. Yeah, that's definitely not something we want to see or encourage on AMO for sure. Yeah, and so also in exciting add-on reviewer news, there's a new version of the add-on reviewer guide that's been updated to reflect the post-review and web extensions world. So this is part of our plan to deprecate the older information about reviewing legacy extensions. So for our current reviewer team, if you haven't taken a look at that, please feel free to look at it. And an entirely new document was created to kind of help standardize review decisions. So this doc outlines some common scenarios that you might see in review and guidance on how to apply the add-on review policies and come to a standard review decision that is consistent amongst the group. Especially because reviews they impact a lot of people. They impact the developers. They impact the add-on users. It's really important to us that everybody be as consistent across the group as possible. So yeah, Andres, you want to say anything else about those documents?
No, you said it perfectly.
Cool. Yeah, we're flying through this. I can't take any credit for that, by the way. That was all Andreas and Philip. They put in a lot of time for that, so thank you for making the time to do that.
Yeah, I can't take much credit either. It was mostly Philip. I gave a little bit of feedback, but he came up with all the great content. So kudos to Philip.
All right. So we owe Philip some beer, I think, the next opportunity. Hey Siobhan, how are you?
I'm very happy to take credit for that.
Oh yay, Philip, you're here. Wait, are you here? Did I just make that up?
No, I'm here. Just not the voices in your head.
Like, did I just hallucinate Philip?
Caitlin, who are you talking to?
Oh my god, I hate you all so much. All right, awesome. So I also wanted to give everybody a heads up about some upcoming changes to storage locale. I think this has been communicated out to developers, but we might want to be shoring that up. So the web extensions engineering team is in the process right now of pushing through a change that's going to affect what back-end extensions use to store data. So they're moving away from JSON into something else database. Sorry, I can pull my notes. But one of the possible implications of this is that if you switch release channels mid-train on the Firefox 63 train, you might lose some of the data from your extensions. So I've been working with Luca to put together something on for support Mozilla that we can point users to for how they can retrieve the data if they lose it mid-migration. So we're working to mitigate the risk there. I don't think that this is going to affect like millions of users, but this is one of those particular little like weird things that might pop up for folks who are using like our nightly and beta channels and then switching back over to release. So I just wanted to give everybody a heads up about that. I'm going to be talking to the Sumo team a little bit later to prep as soon as we get the article kind of more like finalized. I'm going to be talking to the Sumo team to prep them about some incoming questions. So if you see anybody who's complaining about data loss on the Firefox 63 train, just this in mind, we might need to point them over to this information. Any questions?
Could you maybe link the Sumo article?
Yeah, it's not quite done yet, but I can link you to the draft.
Or when it's done, it's fine also. I think just that we have something to point folks to when we come across it.
Yeah, let me link you to the draft and then yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, I might also need to change permissions on that doc. So if you can't access it yet, you will soon be able to. And then I wanted to turn it over to Jorge, who I think about an hour ago ran a meeting about AMO planning. Jorge, do you want to summarize what was discussed in that meeting?
Sure. So we meet every month to go over the plan for the following quarter for AMO. So today we had the second meeting in Q3, planning for Q4. So we just went over the rough plan that we have right now. Basically, there were a couple of so the things that we have at the top right now for the plan for Q4 are first disabling the legacy content on AMO, so that includes both disabling legacy add-ons and disabling the legacy front end. So those are two things that are scheduled for Q4. Keeping in mind that this quarter we'll see the release of, well, we'll see the discontinuation of ESR 52, which is the last supported version of Firefox that supports legacy add-ons. So these changes on AMO would happen roughly a month after that. So it would be well into the period where legacy add-ons are no longer supported in Firefox. So some other things that we're looking into is changing add-on signatures. So what we're doing is changing the algorithm that we're using for generating the hashes for the signatures, which at the moment is not great. We're just basically updating the algorithm, and that means that we need to at some point re-sign all of the add-ons that we have on AMO. Then some work on improving SEO for the site. We recently had our SEO expert do an analysis on AMO, and there are a number of recommendations that we'll want to work on, and they're going to give us a lot of value, bring a lot of users from that search engines who are probably not finding stuff because our search engine ranking isn't that great, and there are many small things that we can do to improve that.
I wanted to give a quick, I wanted to add on to that really quickly. So one of the things that has been discussed is de-indexing extensions that don't have a description. So I think, yeah, right now I think that's about like 2,500 extensions on AMO. So it's not a majority by any means, but that is something that we're considering. So definitely open to some thoughts about how to encourage developers to pay more attention to their descriptions and make sure that their descriptions are good and up to date. Like, we've got a couple of things that we can do, but if there's anything else that we could do to make this more attractive to developers to do it, definitely open to suggestions.
Yeah, related to that, there's a project that the UX people are working on right now called Core Metadata. They're working on the planning for that, which is also planned for starting at least in Q4. And that is, they're doing an analysis of all the metadata that we store for add-ons, the stuff that we expose to users, and figuring out what we should change about that. Like, so some of the possible recommendations are like changing which fields are mandatory, changing like the minimum and maximum lengths of things. So they are definitely looking into descriptions and figuring out if it's something that should be required on AMO, rather than something that we just recommend people to do. And the other thing that we're looking into right now is a project called Privacy Flags, which is a way to kind of like permissions to show certain privacy practices that add-ons do. So things like sharing, like sending analytics to like a Google Analytics, or doing stuff like sending every URL that's visited, trying to distill that into specific flags rather than just having a big privacy policy, or in addition to that. Right now we're just figuring out all the details. There's a lot of discussion going on various fronts, on the UX front and the user front. So that's still on track for Q4, but we need to sort out a few things in the coming weeks so that it's still on track.
Cool. Thanks,
And
Jorge.
yeah, that covers what we talked about.
Nice. Xander's not here with us today, but he did have a question a couple of days ago about missing some reviewer functionality on the new front end that was there on the legacy front end. So I'll plan to circle back to him, but in case anyone else had that question, there is a project scheduled to port the old front end features, the legacy front end features that were helpful for reviews into the new front end. So it's stuff like being able to click on a button that says like manage add-on or like see add-on review. So I can link to that GitHub project where those issues are filed. Oh, do we have someone?
Yeah. Yeah, Seagrams.
Seagrams! Yeah! Sorry, that's
he's too tall for this angle.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then just a bit of administrivia. We're looking to find a new time for our monthly add-on show and tells. Those usually happen the fourth week of every month. They've been scheduled on Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is late for Europe when our friends in Europe would much rather prefer to be having dinner with their friends and family. So we're looking to find a new time. The feedback that I got from a lot of our European folks was that it would be easier for them to stay later on weeknights than it would be to hop in for the evening on Friday, which is why some of the times run a little bit later. So if you are interested in attending the add-on show and tell meetings and you have not yet let us know which time option works for you, please feel free to take the doodle poll and let us know. We'll probably be rescheduling those meetings at the end of this week. Andreas, I'm sorry. I think that you should consider these meetings to be optional. I know that you're trying to get home a little bit earlier on weeknights, so.
Isn't there any option to have like at least one option that is early in the day?
So if we're gonna look earlier in the day, we're talking about 7 a.m. Pacific, maybe. The morning
Works for me.
Oh, I know it does. Yeah, maybe.
That means you're running the meeting then, Andreas, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, just add that to the list. So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying that a lot of folks are already working on handoffs between like 7 and 10 Pacific time. That time slot is usually already booked on most days. So yeah, it's tough. We have a lot of meetings and limited options to do them in. And then I was actually wondering, so Jorge and Seagrubs are in Vancouver this week doing user research about AMO. I was just wondering if y'all could give us a quick update of how it's going. Like, what are you guys talking about? Have you learned anything?
So yeah, it's going very well. We're meeting about 4 people a day, and the general idea is that we do like some exercises, like we talk to them about what they know about add-ons and Firefox, and then they spend some time trying to customize Firefox, trying to install an add-on, kind of go over the AMO homepage, and like giving them as little guidance as possible so that we see what they just instinctively do for all those tasks. So we're trying to get information about how people navigate the site, how people use search, how people figure out how search works, and the data that they look on listing pages to determine whether they want to install an add-on or not. So kind of like the whole process for different types of people. And yeah, that gives us a lot of very useful feedback. I guess one interesting thing is that pretty much every one of them has looked at the search page and they haven't looked at the sidebar that shows like the sorting options and the filters. Like they're pretty much blind to that section, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah, I don't know what else has stood out.
The cover is quite cool. Yeah.
There's a guy with a band. That was pretty cool.
It was really good.
Like with a band? Like
Beer Belly
Beer Belly or
Rock
something.
Band? Yeah, Beer Belly Rock Band or something like that. If you enter that on YouTube, you get like 2 videos that are quite awesome.
Yeah.
nice.
That was kind of cool. So those interviews, we still have a few today, and then tomorrow and Friday we're gonna be working on like recommendations coming out of what we have for these meetings.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for the update. It sounds like fun. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor up to anybody else. If there's any updates that they'd like to share or questions that anybody has about anything that's going on in the add-ons world, we'd love to help out with those. Okay, going once, going twice. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, if anybody has any upcoming events, please feel free to share them on the doc, or better yet, go share them on Discourse and let other friends in the community know that they're happening. If anything comes up, please feel free to let us know. And thanks for spending the morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are, with us today. It's really good seeing y'all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Bye.